On the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same. And the people in the houses all went to the university where they were put in boxes and they came out all the same. And there's doctors and lawyers and business executives, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same. And they all play on the golf course and drink their martinis dry, and they all have pretty children, and the children go to school, and the children go to summer camp, and then to the university where they are put in boxes and they come out all the same. And the boys go into business and marry and raise a family in boxes made of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same.
Hi. Okay, so let me start by asking you guys a quick question. How many of you at any point in your life, or still do, want to live a life outside the box? Just a quick show of hands. All right. How many of those hands, keep your hands up please, how many of those hands presently work in a cubicle or a workspace or an office station, something square? Okay. One little lesson I've learned is that it's not possible to do both. If you want to live outside the box, you also need to change your physical space because it has a lot to do with your metaphorical one as well. All right? And I think the problem itself is with the system. Think about it. We send our kids to school, or take us initially. We go to school. We sit in boxed-in environments, and we're supposed to learn about the world outside. We go to university, we do the same thing. We start work, we buy cars, we buy homes, all one box after the other box after the other box, right? And we get married, we raise a family, and we send them down that same path. And I think it's a bit of an unfair thing that we're doing to our kids. I'm speaking from the perspective of a new parent because about a month and a half ago, I gave birth to this absolutely beautiful baby boy. Yeah, he's the love of my life. And the thing is, from the time I got pregnant, people have been asking me a whole bunch of things. Have you joined the All Girls Association? Have you done this? Have you done that? And I've got a laundry list of things that I was supposed to do to get my son or daughter into the right school, get him the best possible education. And you know what? I agree. I want my kid to have the best education ever. But I have one response to everybody who's asked me these questions. What makes you think I want to send him to school in the first place? They look at me a little strangely, saying, are you mad? What is wrong with your child? My mother has gone to the point of thinking I've landed from the moon. It's all right, because my argument back is I don't want to send my son into an environment where he's reprimanded for his mistakes instead of rewarded for doing something different. And I don't think any school is prepared to do that for my kid right now. One of my favorite TED speakers is Sir Ken Robinson. I think he's one of the most popular talks ever. And he speaks about schools killing creativity. He went on to say in his talk that if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything new, right? He cited an example of this wonderful lady called Gillian Lynn. She is presently one of the most sought-after choreographers on Broadway. She's choreographed Cats and Phantom of the Opera. But when she was in school, it was a completely different story. Her teachers had concerns that maybe she had a learning disability. She couldn't sit still. She wasn't listening to anything anyone had to tell her. And her parents were called in and said, listen, I think you need to get your daughter some help where I think she has a serious problem. And obviously worried parents took her straight off to a psychiatrist who sat and asked her mother a bunch of questions and watched Gillian, who was, completely impatient as usual. She couldn't sit still. She kept moving and bouncing around in a chair. So the psychiatrist decided to take her mother out and said, Gillian, sit here for a minute. I'll put the radio on for you. I need to talk to your mother outside. Once outside, he asked her mother to just look through the door and watch her daughter. She'd got up from her chair and she'd started dancing because she'd found something that was going along with that rhythm in her head. And he said, do you realize that you don't have a child with a learning disability? What you have on your hands is a dancer. Lucky girl, she was discovered purely by accident at a young age. But what if she wasn't? What if she wasn't? Imagine what she would have been. Taking my own life as an example, I spent 12, 13 years in advertising, a job I was good at, a job I was paid well for. But the last couple of years, just getting myself up and getting into work was an issue. I hated it. A job I was good at, but I hated doing. And I asked myself one day, is this all there is to your life? Are you just going to go up this career ladder, earn more, earn more, earn more, do the same thing in and out? So as a 30th birthday present to myself, I decided to hand in my resignation. Just like my mother thought I'd landed from the moon, my boss also thought I'd landed from the moon. You don't have a job? What are you going to do? I said, I don't know. That's the point. I need to know that I can be more than this, or at least something different to what I've been doing, because it's not giving me what I want anymore. So I quit my job, had a lot of time on my hands, decided to buy, a cheap little DSLR and start taking some pictures. I'm a huge music fan, so I took my camera along with me to all the live concerts that I attended. And the first one I wound up shooting was for a local band called Stigmata. Story though, my camera, I threw away the manual, so I didn't know what I was doing. I decided to turn the knobs around and figure myself out, which is what I did at this concert. Took a few pictures, put them up on Facebook the next day. And a few days later, the band calls me up and says, Natalie, we're launching our third album. Would you like to photograph us for it? And I said, what? Are you mad? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just changing buttons and pressing the camera. They said, that's okay. Whatever that madness is obviously working for you and it's working for us. So could you please photograph us? I said, all right. If you're mad enough to want me, I'm mad enough to want to do it. So I took the pictures, had my photographs up on billboards and CD covers and posters, and I was thrilled. I was over the moon. And I asked myself, maybe you have a pair of eyes that are different. Maybe this is something that you can do. And one job turned into another and another and another. And it's been an amazing, amazing adventure. In the middle of me discovering myself as a photographer, I've also discovered something else that's on the precipice of happening. This country is, thank goodness for the movement video. We're on the precipice of a wonderful new movement of art and culture and music. And a lot of people who don't want to become a doctor or a lawyer or a business executive, they want to do something different. They know that their system of education has only geared them towards industrialism. So they had to take a step back and do things on their own. So just like Gillian Lynn's story, we have a bunch of stories from Sri Lanka as well. I'll just take you through a couple of them. Firstly, meet Aravinda Salvatore and Shehara De Silva, also known as Sala and Bludgy. The two of them worked in advertising for many years, and like me, quit their job. Decided to launch this t-shirt label called Bludge, which from a t-shirt label has now moved into a movement. That almost signifies what this whole new movement of art and culture is about. Next, you may have heard of Ashanta Joseph Pires and Dr. Sumudhi Suravira. Together, they run Music Matters, a local music school that has completely eliminated the examination process. How wonderful for our kids to actually learn music properly now. I call this gentleman very fondly Mahinda Ayya. He picked up his first camera at 50. He didn't know what he was doing. 3 years later, he's an international award-winning photographer. There's Vimukti Jayasundara, who, like me, we worked together in advertising, quit his job, followed his dream of being a filmmaker, and is now Sri Lanka's only Cannes Award-winning film director. I'm so proud of him. And just like that, I have 100, 200 stories to tell you of people who've decided to do things differently, to walk a different path, because maybe the one that we have isn't working for us. The point is, I think that we're continuing to walk and walk and walk down a path that somebody walked for us hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And, you know, what's the point in following one after the other, without revisiting it and wondering whether this is really working for us or not? An old boss of mine once told me that paths don't exist. We create them by walking, which is true. The one we walk down now, somebody else walked for the first time. Maybe it's time that we also turned away from that one beautifully paved, easy road and walked through the wilderness, make a bit of a change. And maybe it's time we stopped nodding and agreeing and saying, yes, the system of education needs to change, this needs to change, that needs to change. Maybe we stop nodding and maybe we start doing things about it. Because, you know, every generation is blessed with a bunch of crazy people. I hope and I pray that this generation is the one that decides to embrace the crazies. Because maybe there's a different idea out there that might work for the human race. Let me close by by quoting a statement Apple made on behalf of Steve Jobs a few years ago. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. They have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may seem as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who ultimately do. Thank you.